Alright, the video of this title should speak for itself. I'll be talking about the A's. Before I start really talking about the 2021 A's, I first want to say rest in peace to Ray Fosse. Very, very sad news happened last night as I'm talking about this. I do think about my childhood and times on KICU when he'd be covering the games with Greg Papa. A lot of those color commentaries, I learned a lot about baseball through him. I remember when there were those quizzes about baseball rules and all the things and details. I mean, good times. I mean, very, very sad. He died of cancer, and he was battling it for a very long time, really in private. No one really knew until this year when he finally had his cancer catch up to him, and he had to take his leave. Um, yeah, rest in peace, Ray Fosse. I know, like any of us, we all get kind of old at times, and we're all going to decline. Even I do hate saying like his final years in the booth. I could tell his level of homerism was a little over the top for me, but I know as A's fans we love him because of what he's done, and he built a legacy beyond just as a commentator, but of course as a player in the '70s. And people think about one incident. I feel bad people brought it up, like the media, the AP. Seriously, the AP News can go screw itself. They brought up the incidents that I don't need to mention out loud. So may he rest in peace. He will be missed by the A's organization. Now on to the 2021 A's. What a dumpster fire! I mean, they had a winning record, and that sounds good if you're a rebuilding team. But the A's were in their window of contention, and they pissed away a lot of it. And a big reason, of course, was due to not even just coming into the year, not being able to retain one key player. Now, in terms of free agency, we knew that Liam Hendricks was going to get a big contract. I'm actually happy the A's did not even throw an offer because matching that contract would have been really bad just from a business standpoint. You don't throw that kind of contract on a reliever in baseball for most of the time. So I don't regret that one. But Marcus Simeon, not keeping Marcus Simeon really blows up in your face, especially when he only signs a one-year deal. It wasn't some excessive contract. The A's contract was so insulting that it was embarrassing to even read about it. So the A's didn't even keep Simeon, and it blew up in their faces. He even hits a walk-off home run against the A's just to put further insult to the season. So where did they go from there? Well, they had to go dumpster diving. They had to do, like Billy Beane had to get this creative little trade to go get Elvis Andrus from the Rangers and take on or at least let the Rangers take on some of his salary. They actually got to throw money to the A's with that, just so that they can keep him and they can use some extra money on other things. I mean, this was a disaster, just an outright disaster of a season. There was a point where the pitching was all right. They felt like they had to shut out their opponent every night because the situational hitting sucked. And then the bullpen just ran out of gas in the second half. I mean, the offense got better, but it was too little too late. I mean, so many things about this organization have gone wrong. They don't care. And I'll get to the part about moving a little bit later. But just on the field, it's really disgusting that this team will find a way to come up one hit short, not know how to do situational hitting. And in the last 10 years, that's all this team is. They've just tried to hit the home run, swing for the fences. That's all these guys are taught to do. It's really showing in a guy like Sean Murphy. That's all he's trying to do when he's taking at bats. A lot of these guys that are homegrown are doing that. So yeah, they get Starling Marte, they get Yan Gomes, they get Josh Harrison. Good. I think it was nice to see veterans that knew how to hit and actually do things. But it was too little too late. They did not address the bullpen enough at the deadline because they overplayed their guys in the first half and then they ran out of gas in the second half. They had to, once again, go dumpster diving because Sergio Romo, an old, washed-up Sergio Romo, was overachieving through July. He was playing pretty well. And then out of gas, I mean, he's old. I had very low expectations the moment he signed. It was one of those classic dumpster diving moves. It's kind of old. It gets boring. And then by the second half came, we already knew what was coming. We're A's fans. We just can't have nice things. And I'll say they were rolling in June. And then there's one play that's going to be remembered as the turning point of the year. Sean Murphy with two runners on. Aroldis Chapman is struggling. He really struggled to even throw strikes. And it's an 0-1 pitch. He swings at it, and it's a triple play 5-4-3. Ending ninth inning, back-breaking on all fronts, and the A's never recovered from that incident. The situational hitting became a mess, and then later the bullpen became a mess. The only thing good was like the starting pitching. I mean, Chris Bassett, consistent guy, good to know. On the flip side, Jesus Luzardo played his way off the roster. I mean, that was a big bust for a guy with a lot of hype. And obviously he was traded for Starling Marte. No regrets there because he wasn't going to figure it out in green and gold. If he ends up playing well, it's because the Marlins figured out his holes and the A's staff could not. So no regrets there. Starling Marte did everything I wish I could have in a position player. But he's going to be gone. We're A's fans. We already know this. I mean, it was very telling, once again, when Simeon was given this offer that was so insulting. And he only got a one-year deal from the Blue Jays. They couldn't match that or do anything close. And when they did get that money back from the Rangers, they used it on Trevor Rosenthal, which also blew up in their face. That's one of those deferred payment. I mean, it's like he plays for 1 year and then they have to spread this money out for 3 years. Well, he doesn't even play a game in an A's uniform, and they're still paying him for 2 more years. How embarrassing is that? On the other hand, the leadership is not there from Bob Melvin. It gets old. This whole thing of looking good in a rebuilding year, but then you're not good enough to get over that hump, it's not there. In 2018, there was optimism that, there's a good core. You have Matt Chapman, Matt Olson. You have guys that may actually have upside here for a window of contention. But this group of players has been full of no-shows in October. I mean, that Yankees game, that was a blowout. The Rays game, that was a blowout. 5-1, complete no-show in your own house. 2020, they got a little lucky because the White Sox chose to choke. But remember that first game? They had a perfect game for 6 innings against the White Sox, that first game. And then in the Astros, that was a complete no-show from the pitchers, the hitters. Everything just went wrong. It's like these players are not coached or prepared for a playoff game. There's no accountability. There's no prep. I said, I believe that Bob Melvin has hit his expiration date with the A's. I mean, he'll prevent the A's from sucking, but he's not going to take the A's to where we need them to in October. I mean, his window for me was in 2013. He had multiple moves that he made that were incorrect, kept one guy in too long, there's no urgency. That game was managed like it was mid-June. They're just experimenting, but it's October. There is no sense of urgency when this team is managing games. And yes, some of that is the leadership of Billy Beane too. That being said, Billy Beane has still prevented this team from suckage. If Billy Beane is fired, this team becomes the Pirates. And nobody wants to be the Pirates in terms of suckage, hoping for high draft picks. If anything, a lot of this coaching staff needs to be let go. That includes Darren Bush, who, remember, he was a bullpen coach before he became a hitting coach because he's ruining a guy like Sean Murphy. There's so many things that these guys are doing, just trying to swing for the fences. They don't look coached. They don't look ready. And even if they are good in the regular season, they just have learned to lay an egg in October. At least those guys in 2012 and 2013 would lose in Game 5 or they'd compete. They'd actually have some heart. When these guys are here in October, they just look like they don't care. They look happy to be there and say, hey, we're in the offseason. Us as fans, we have to wear it. We have to wear these losses. And that's what hurts about 2018 and 2019 more is that those were on the national stage. There was no NFL games to compete with. You had the sports spotlight on you, and you blew it. So many people don't watch the A's, and you hope for attention, you hope for relevance, and the A's continue to be irrelevant in October because they know how to lose in the ALDS. That's their ceiling. It's really, really boring. It gets old for 20 plus years, and I'd have to say Billy Beane looks past his prime, but there's also times they're just dumpster diving, just trying to pray and hope. That's his philosophy right now, is the playoffs are a crapshoot. You cross your fingers and hope for the best and swing for the fences. You're trying to luck your way into a title, and right now it's just they're not well prepared and they're not ahead of the game. Back in the early 2000s, Billy Beane was ahead of the times and was able to come up with a market that was inefficient. We all hear about on-base percentage being the big one, but you look right now, the organization who's better in that department is the Tampa Bay Rays. And what if I told you they had a lower payroll than the A's? They're at least ahead of the game. They have to be innovative. They have to reinvent the wheel and come up with new ways to compete. The A's, everyone knows their shtick. They platoon. They have guys that are built for right-handed pitchers, guys who are built for left-handed pitchers. Everyone already knows that. It's very, very predictable, and I'm bored. I continue to be bored with this team for this group of players especially. All they do is they die by the home run in October. So, yes, the A's, they failed on multiple fronts. They failed just on the field. It's boring, tiring, disgusting. And I'm not, you want to burn your gear and pretend you're not an A's fan. You just pretend it doesn't exist. But, I've been born and raised into this. I'm stuck with it. You just want to go drink and pretend the A's don't exist. On the field only. Now, off the field. We all know they're going to want to move to Vegas. That's likely going to happen. They're gone. Some of the things I've learned that's really sad is they've suppressed their attendance. This year and next year, they're going to suppress their attendance even more. Forget Moneyball. We are living out Major League, the movie Major League, where people don't care. And the owners just want people to stop caring, so they've price gouged everyone. I know this past year they price gouged some games. I've heard that even Giants games cost less than an A's game if you count the parking and all combined. Like, something's really wrong with that. It really is. When you factor the stadiums and the value, that's not there. That's really terrible when you think about it. So this year I just saw the season ticket plans for next year, and some of the season tickets have gone up by 60%, 68%, I'm told. That's not like some normal inflation increase. So the A's are trying to suppress and say nobody can support us. They've gouged the price tag. I heard even for a Yankees game this year, it cost 40 something for the bleachers. That's unrealistic, really, when you think about it. But people say, "Oh, those are normal tickets." No. BS. This is the team that wants to suppress their attendance. They want to move. Fine, they want to move. They want to move to Vegas, and I really don't think Vegas is the best market for baseball. I think there's other cities in America that would be better invested. Vegas, in NFL, you can play anywhere and people are going to show up. We've seen that in especially Green Bay. You think about how they're not close to population, but people will show up for a weekend. In baseball, you need a local market. You need people that do live within the areas, no one's going to make baseball trips every single game. It's a long season. I don't see people in Vegas supporting the A's the same way they're doing with the Vegas Golden Knights. Even if this team gets that new shiny stadium, this ownership has told me that they don't care to invest in the team at all. The only time I've seen investment was when Chris Davis was given the 2-year extension. And, of course, what's worse about that, he sucked the moment he signed the dotted line. Remember that in 2019? Remember the moment that extension happened and then he sucked in the second half? Yeah, good times. Other than that, they're not going to invest in these players. There's nothing that says so. The only thing they're going to do at best is see that first year in the new stadium. They're going to buy and look like they're going to compete just for show, and then they're going to blow it up after 1 year. If anyone remembers that, the Miami Marlins, Jeff Loria did that. He got his new stadium. He made an investment. He upped his payroll just enough to look competitive. I think it was $100 million at the time. And then he blew it up. I remember all those guys except Giancarlo Stanton were traded the year after. And I'm sure, was it Jose Fernandez? He would have been traded if he was still alive. He would have been traded for pennies. Just there was no organization. There was no investment. There's no direction. They'll just use that stadium for a cash cow. You should be disgusted in Fisher and all these snake oil salesman tactics that Dave Cable's been using. I really haven't fallen for it. I figured it was too good to be true. The writing's been on the wall for a while, and I'm tired of all this lip service and people kissing his ass. Prior to this year, everyone has kissed his ass saying, "Oh, they sound optimistic. The shovel's coming in the ground." Well, unfortunately, the Oakland politicians don't care either. They care more about other things, including illegal immigrants. They make a better effort into that. You can look at what Libby Schaaf's done. She's made a better effort taking care of them than the A's. So, as for yes. I'm not going to say it's a two-way street. The A's themselves don't care, but the city of Oakland has done its job to not take care of the Oakland A's and any sports team. They're going to lose 3 teams in a very short span of time. So, I support the A's when they move. It really depends on the market. I'm not going to support them really if they go to Vegas. If they're in a certain market I think it's niche, certainly out of state, I may support them, but we'll see. They want Vegas, and really, I can't support the Vegas A's especially because they don't care about winning. They really don't care about winning. Just the way that they're trying to invest and just only invest in the stadium so that they have a cash cow. Are they going to care about retaining their players? Probably not. So yeah, as an A's fan, you lose either way. On the field, off the field, you're price gouging, you're being real stupid, you're suppressing your attendance, and you're even coached with a bunch of yes men. I mean, Bob Melvin at this point is a yes man because they like him. They can control him. They don't have any clashes with the front office like Art Howe probably did in his days. There's no bad relationships there. So he has a job for life until he's dead at this rate. That's the harsh reality. And they're just content with first-round exits. I don't know why some fans will even kiss his ass at this point, bringing up his record, because he doesn't deserve the same sentence as Connie Mack or Tony La Russa. I mean, October. That's all I got to say is what did he do in October? What has he done in October once it's after game 162? It's a bunch of no-shows, and until told otherwise, I need to see it to believe it. But this team has just shown to me that they don't care. They really don't care, and we're just a feeder for other teams playing elsewhere. That's about all I got to say, though. Let me know what you all think about the A's, and once again, rest in peace to Ray Fosse. He's deserved better. It's really sad when I think about the playoff calls. The only thing cool is he got that scream when he walked off in 2013. That's about all I could think about. See you guys next time.